I remember a very wise man once said there were going to be no cuts to Medicaid. Sorry, did I say wise? I meant closeted. No, this is Mike Johnson back in, this must have been February. Yeah, must have been February. And here he is saying after, there was a directive to find and cut $880 million from the federal government, the budget. That this is Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, saying no, there's no, that's not going to come out of Medicaid. Nobody's losing their Medicaid coverage. Are you kidding me? Covers 40% of births in this country, right? Like, no, people aren't going to lose their Medicaid. Here he is on CNN swearing that there are no cuts to Medicaid.
Going to cut benefits for people who are rightfully deserve it. And watch this play out. Just reserve your judgment. The White House has said that we're not going to do that. The House Republicans have said we're not going to do that. And Senator Kennedy said, hell no. Okay, so you heard it from the Senate, the House, and the White House. So let's let this play out. We have a long football game to play. Last night was the kickoff of the game. So just watch it play out and you'll see. I think the American people are going to benefit greatly by the package that we're going to produce for them. We are going to deliver the America First agenda, and it's going to be good for everybody. We're going to spur economic growth. We're going to cut regulations. We're going to cut the deep state and the bureaucracy to make government more efficient. We're going to secure the border. We're going to get energy dominance back again for our country that is long overdue. And we're going to spur on the U.S. economy. And by the way, Caitlin, the big drive of all this is to ensure we don't have the largest tax increase in U.S. history at the end of this year, which is what will happen if we don't get this bill passed.
Oh boy, Mike Johnson. Yes, the largest tax increase if we don't extend the tax breaks for the ultra wealthy. This is, by the way, the sunset year for Donald Trump's tax breaks. And so the 888, correction, Francesca, billion dollars is coming out of, no, not the Pentagon, not the jets that are somehow, why are they like falling into the ocean, right? No. It's coming from us. It's coming from poor people, disabled people, the elderly. It is coming from people who receive Medicaid, babies, who rely on it for nutrition. It's coming out of people who want SNAP benefits or WIC benefits, formula, or, at least one square meal a day. You guys are the freeloaders. No. All we're trying to do is continuing to be able to write off our private jets, except for the one that Donald Trump is going to receive, the $400 million one from Qatar. So, that'll be fine. Although it'll be very interesting to see what kinds of taxes are being paid. What kinds of tariffs are going to be paid on that jet? You get it, $400 million. What's Qatar gotten hit with in terms of the tariff regime? So that's Mike Johnson saying, watch this play out. Watch it play out. You're going to see. Everyone's gonna be happy. And by everyone, I mean if you're making about $500 million a year. Because we now have that unveiled budget proposal, which does a lot of things, but one of the things it does is it slashes Medicaid for people who are currently on it by a massive amount that could lead to 10.3 million people losing their coverage, according to the Congressional Budget Office. Okay? That's what's about to happen. It would be $625 billion in savings, though. Hey, we could all get a stimulus check. You could get $300 from the government. Yeah, well, let's divide that up for everybody. $300, that's enough to pay for healthcare for 2 months. 1.5, a couple weeks, depending on what your conditions are. Who knows? Are you disabled? You wouldn't be disabled, are you? Because that would be an unfortunate sort of that's kind of expensive. In fact, that's the whole reason that Medicaid exists. Are we doing any kind of deal with the private insurers to get them to lower the costs of all this? No. So, amazing cruelty out of the GOP. The Republicans released their partial estimates Tuesday, less than half an hour before the House and Energy Commerce Committee is scheduled to mark up its portion of the legislation central to enacting President Trump's agenda on taxes, border, and energy. The panel has been tasked with finding $880 billion in savings, and the CBO confirmed the committee's on track to meet that target. They also projected that many of the major Medicaid policies would account for $625 billion of the savings. It's a direct wealth transfer, people. This is a direct wealth transfer of our tax dollars. Instead of going to like, you know, a poor family, a disabled family, an elderly person who needs affordable health care, keeping their family safe, keeping the block safe, keeping the community safe, keeping the county safe, keeping the state. Instead of all that, no. Think about the billionaire in your community. I mean, they probably don't live in the community because they don't want to live near you and you can't afford to live near them. But think about them. When we give the billionaire welfare, it maybe they'll let us manicure their lawn. Maybe they'll let us, pick up the slack from all the migrants who've been swept up by ice. And you too can push a lawnmower in 105-degree heat and get paid for it. That'll be great. What a good future. So the wealth transfer is on. Work requirements. I love work requirements. Yes, make these babies. Put them to work. Wah. Milk, sleep, milk. Wah. No. Come on, push them up. Do something. All right, be a greeter at Walmart. Wah, milk, Get them to work. Accounting for nearly $301 billion over a decade, deeper than what had been initially anticipated. Overturning the Biden-era rules on the program would save $163 billion. First of all, you have to remember, none of what the Congressional Budget Office is even producing here is accounting for the impact of kicking 10.3 million people off of their health insurance. Like, all this is like, what we saved. Okay. Well, what about the emergency room visits? What about all of the ways that people who are not able to get health care, when people have a virus, when people are coughing all over the place and can't get antibiotics or can't get their meds or can't get whatever, can't get seen, what happens? Oh, that spreads. I mean, I know we're all pro-germ now, right? Given MAHA, which is really just about getting everybody sick. And I hope you're rich enough to pay for your health. I mean, so again, when they do these calculations, it is only about like, well, I hope you're not one of the 10.3 million people. You wouldn't be part of the 10.3 million people, would you? That's like not that many people. It's like a couple Beyonce concerts. What? Republicans are trying to say this is a kind of a moderate bill. Energy Commerce Ranking member Frank Pallone told reporters Monday, nothing could be further from the truth. Amen. This is a radical bill. This is insane. This will hurt so many people. And I want to just play what Mike Johnson is saying now, because remember, they were always couching this in the people who are deserving of Medicaid are not going to be losing their Medicaid. So in the mind of the Republicans, and let's be honest, in the mind of a lot of Democrats, in the mind of a lot of centrists, in the mind of a lot of Americans who've been propagandized to about who is deserving and undeserving. Everyone who's on Medicaid is just lying, right? Everyone's lying about their disability. Everyone's lying about not being able to work. Everyone's lying about caring for an elder aging parent or a grandparent or a sick child. Everyone's just lying. All the wah. Oh, baby, I need milk. You don't need that much milk. Like that is what the crass capitalists POSs who are simultaneously siphoning this money up to themselves. That's what they think. And they've always thought that. So really quickly, before I play Mike Johnson now, this was back in March. This is a Republican congressperson, I think from North Carolina. I'm just going to play this out because this is what he's saying about his own constituents who are going to be affected by the Medicaid cuts.
You know, Rob, I still see patients. So this is very real to me. And I see.
Oh, you're a doctor? I love it. I love that you're also like have been a practicing doctor.
Majority, I mean, not a majority, but I see a fair number of individuals who are on Medicaid. And I can give you two instances, happened on the same day about 6 weeks ago in the office. One was a 35-year-old on Medicaid, and he was on disability, and he was no more disabled than you or I. And another one was a 48-year-old woman that was disabled because she couldn't hear, but she could hear me ask the questions, and she had hearing aids in. You know, these are difficult challenges to overcome, but there are no reason somebody should be on Medicaid disabled and not working. So
you hear that? This is Greg Murphy of North Carolina, who's like, I see people, they come to me. I looked at a 35. Imagine if this was your doctor, let alone this is your representative. I saw a 35-year-old. He didn't look disabled to me. You don't look disabled to me. Why are you on Medicaid? Okay, so you're clinically deaf, but you've got hearing aids. Who the do you think helped pay for the hearing aids? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, how was that person able to even afford? Hearing aids are insanely expensive. If you have acute deafness, I can't imagine how expensive that is. And absolutely, it bars you from doing a lot of jobs. All right? You know, because all they want is for people to be like little worker bees in some, Amazon Bezos plant or whatever, right? And it's like, yeah, you also need to hear to do these kinds of things. You won't be hired for these jobs. But here he is. And again, it's all about casting doubt on people. And I think simultaneously, because no one knows bureaucracy like poor people know bureaucracy. Let's just put a fine point on it. We are being told by the GOP, by Elon Musk, by the richest people in this country that there's too much red tape, that there's so much government bureaucracy. And it's like, ha, ha, ha. Talk to a poor person, talk to a working class person, talk to anyone who is trying to have a job and survive. Talk to a new mom. I've done these stories on the Bitchuation Room before where a mom is trying to get back to work, but because she works, she makes too much money to qualify for Medicaid. But she's got a newborn baby who maybe has special needs and maybe needs extra, has meds that are expensive or doctor's visits that are expensive. And so the state has determined and kicks her off for Medicaid because she's working and makes too much money to qualify for it, but she doesn't make enough money to buy insurance on the marketplace and still put food on the table. Do you understand what I'm saying? You don't know bureaucracy unless you are a poor person trying to get by in this country. And I don't say poor as a slight. I'm just talking about trying to make ends meet. Live a fucking month in the shoes of a low-income new mother who's like, yeah, I'm trying to get back to work. You know what I mean? Like, but I have a kid. I have a baby. Again, it's all fiction. They hate us. They hate us. They don't believe us. They hate us. You know what? In the end of the day, they don't care if we die. I'm sorry. I'm very on one because it's so disturbing. And there's more because here's Mike Johnson, again, man who shares pornography with his son. I mean, not really, but like his son looks at his telephone and makes sure that he doesn't, look at all the bad things except for some of the penises.
Even before the bill text had come out, Greta, they were running ads and put billboards up around the country suggesting we were cutting Medicaid. It's simply not true. And we were able to get the ads pulled down because they were based on false information. The bill text was just filed on Monday, yesterday morning, and people are going through that and understanding what we're actually doing, Greta, is securing Medicaid. We're shoring it up. We're going to
shut up. This is the whole thing. They're saying we're first of all, I love this. This is on Newsmax, so don't expect pushback. We're shoring this up for the future. No, you're not. You are trying to pass a new round of Trump tax cuts and do it in a way so that all Republicans will be on board. Like I think it was either Massey or one of them, Wyden, is it? Well, a couple of Republicans are like holdouts because they're like, we can't pass these tax cuts without actually like paying for them, right? And so once you pay for them, then I'm on board. So it's basically just to get consensus, is to get it across the finish line. And so none of this is about Medicaid. It's about finding the money to, again, pass a tax break for the wealthiest Americans. It is a direct, which by the way, this also came out in the last week. Last Trump tax cuts passed in 2017, $4 trillion is what they added to the deficit. $4 trillion. So no pundit, and certainly no Democrat or politician is worth their salt, is worth anything if they still talk about the deficit. So I don't want to hear anyone. Yeah, if you're a right winger, of course you play into that because it's one of your myths. It's one of your tropes. You can implode the deficit, but if we're trying to pay for healthcare, right? No. So I don't want to hear anyone. No more of this Nancy Pelosi pay-go. Let's find the money to save if we're going to do this program. Shut up. Nobody wants to hear that. That doesn't help anybody.
Make sure that these essential programs are there for the people who genuinely need and deserve it. What Medicaid is intended, remember, as a safety net for young pregnant mothers and the elderly and the disabled and vulnerable populations, not for able-bodied young men without dependents. Those are the kinds of people we're taking off the program, the illegal aliens who are on the program.
Jesus
and we're
Christ.
Root out fraud, waste,
they're not on the program.
The savings are going to be found. So we're actually making the program stronger for the Americans who need it.
Did you hear that? Kind of like the able-bodied men? Like, this is this all about your like twisted ass toxic masculinity? Did you hear that? So it's like men aren't pregnant moms, men don't have babies, men they're not disabled, men don't have chronic conditions, men should just be men need to work. Stop with this oh no, my legs don't work nonsense. You need to get back to work. Like, do you understand like how that is such a manifestation of this really disgusting, not just, ableism and soft eugenics, but also of the toxic masculinity of the like hyper whatever you think a man should be nature. And a man, certainly, I mean, that you heard the representative there before, a 35-year-old man, he's fine. I can't see nothing wrong with him, right? Like, who knows what he's got? Autoimmune disorders, right? Like, that are really, really violent and difficult to work with, to hold down a job with. You don't know this person's history. You don't know their life. I mean, I'm someone who believes in healthcare for all, so you will not find me going like, well, there could be some savings somewhere. Bitch, if you can get it, get it. If you can get on Medicaid, you can get on Medicaid. Obamacare expanded Medicaid and said the federal government would pay 90% of the tab. I did a story on this for MSNBC in 2019. I had an hour-long special. And what it was about was that actually, at that point, 12 or 14 red states refused to expand Medicaid, depriving millions of their own citizens of access to Medicaid. And again, who do you think is going to be kicked off? Oh, it's all going to be just manly, able-bodied men who never get sick. No. It's also going to be the people that he's talking about that he thinks are the only ones who should be on Medicaid. It's going to be mothers and children and the elderly. But the point is that they've wanted to gut it. They hate the idea of expansion of Medicaid. And these, as we mentioned yesterday briefly, these brave protesters, a lot of them using wheelchairs, were inside of this hearing and were protesting it. They're getting wheeled out. Dozens of protesters. Here we go. Jesus. This woman says, I'd rather go to jail than die in a nursing home. I mean, you know, they've been on the front lines. Disabled folks have always been on the front lines of healthcare struggles in this country. They are once again on the front lines of the healthcare struggles in this country because they know they are going to be disproportionately impacted, as will any caregivers to them. Again, they have to offset $3.8 trillion that the tax cuts are going to bring, which again, $4 trillion was already added to the deficit last time, thanks to these cuts. Here's AOC in I believe a budget hearing. I'll get the details exactly, but first of all, she's treated like absolute garbage from another representative, but she's trying to ask, look, if Medicaid is still going to, if you're promising, because they're just saying shit, right? First it's, oh no, we're just going to find the saving. It doesn't mean it's going to be Medicaid. It was of course going to be Medicaid. And now they're saying, well, we're not going to kick off pregnant women. That would be egregious. No, we're going to kick off able-bodied men who should be alphas, but they're not, because they think they're disabled in their minds. Here is AOC talking about what about miscarriages? What about women who have miscarriages? Will they get covered? And she is greeted by a Republican, won't find his name, but just treating her like absolute garbage.
In terms of some of the exemptions, pregnancy is covered, correct?
May I interrupt? I'm glad you're addressing us instead of speaking to the camera.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Pregnancy is covered, correct?
I'm glad you're speaking to us instead of speaking to the camera. What the bitch? What are you talking about? That's Randy Weber of Texas. I'm sorry, lady, ma'am, are you, ma'am, making mouth sounds with your face hole? Yeah, I see. Thank you for making those towards me and not towards the camera, even though, you mostly do it for the camera. You look real good on the camera. Anyway, are you saying something of importance, or should you even be here, little lady?
As an exemption? I have a question. Given the Dobbs decision and the fact that many women in many states are forced to be carrying.
I'm gonna have to stop. I'm gonna recline my.
Okay,
what?
I'm gonna read because you said Dobbs and forced, and that made me uncomfortable in my feelings, and I feel I reserve the right to my own protected space, and because you're making me feel things I don't want to feel and think things I don't want to think about a class of people I don't think should exist. So I'm going to reclaim my time.
What about miscarriage?
Thank you.
What about miscarriage?
I'm reclaiming my time. Thank you. I just want to make the point that we'd like for you to address the Republicans and let's have a dialogue this way and not to a camera. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
But
The gentleman yields back.
But I'm asking the question, what about a miscarriage?
The gentleman
I'm
yields
trying to
back.
engage in the way that the gentleman.
The lady is out of order. The gentleman yields back.
Oh, so we don't want to answer
Is
for
there
women having
someone on the
miscarriages and
Democratic
bleeding out in
side
parking
who
lots?
looks
Okay.
to be recognized?
Speaking of where we are addressing and who we are addressing, there are 13.7 million Americans on the other side of that screen right there. Hello? Hello. I'm talking to you because I work for you.
Ooh. She's like, oh, in fact, I am going to talk to the camera because it's not just the camera. It is Americans who are watching. I'm talking to you. She looks right at the camera. We're talking C-SPAN. And so I don't know if that many Americans are watching, but I'm talking to you because I work for you. This energy is so, it's so good.
And they deserve to see what is happening here. Because there are plenty of districts, including Republican ones, where 25% of your constituents are on Medicaid, 40% of your constituents are on Medicaid. And yes, I am.
Will the gentlelady yield?
I am talking to them, and I will not yield because it was a terribly disrespectful comment. and I will not yield to disrespectful men. Thank you very much.
You yield back?
We'll yield back to the gentlelady.
Yes, I yield to the doctor from California.
Okay, so that was just a beautiful little clap back because I mean she's making a good point, right? Which is like, okay, what about the women who are bleeding out in their cars right now, and what about women who need emergency, DNCs or DNEs or whatever, basically emergency abortions because they're having a miscarriage, and it is really dangerous. Often, you have to see a medical professional. Because if you are not like able to fully miscarry, you could die. You could die of sepsis very easily. And this is again what happens when we criminalize abortion, and when it trickles down to people having miscarriages. Abortion is healthcare. Period. Full stop. And of course, that the kinds of restrictions on Medicaid. Oh, we're going to protect mothers. Have you ever trusted a Republican to protect mothers? Before we leave on this topic, Mark Gogan, thank you for being a member for 12 months, says, I'm on disability, Social Security disability insurance. I make less than $2,000 a month. Illinois says I make too much money for Medicaid and SNAP. Right. So that's the amount. That is very low. Right. I mean, Illinois, I'm assuming that's where you're like, that's an expensive state. Right. But that's exactly what I'm talking about. This kind of bureaucracy that people are like, all right, well, I guess I am going to have to make do with what I have. And thank you for being a member at that. And Zane, who always comes out to our live shows here in Pasadena and supports live comedy says also, I'm on disability insurance, and without my benefits, I will fall apart slowly, and I might be able to get around better now that I've had multiple surgeries to fix me. Zane, thank you for sharing, man. And thank you for also coming through to my shows and laughing and, taking your mind off some stuff. Because this is real. This is so many people. This is so many of us. Vetras Varna, what's up? In 2010, I horribly broke my leg. I couldn't walk for 7 months. I was a chef and couldn't get aid because I, quote, couldn't actively seek work. Failed system. Exactly. It's like, well, are you seeking work? Well, I've got a broken leg. And being a chef, you kind of got to use your feet. So, I mean, this is, again, this punitive, ridiculous system. I dare a rich person to live a week, a month in the shoes of somebody trying to navigate it. What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/bitchuation room. Do